All right, so I've been trying to shoot this video and without sharing my story, so I'll just be real. The question that I get all the time is, are kinks that are rooted in trauma bad? And I have a lot of experience with this with other people, but also I have a lot of experience of this with myself. So let me just speak from my experience, and I won't, tell anybody else's story here. For a long time, I had a really big fear that I was incest, that I had an incestual attraction to my brothers. And I couldn't figure out why I had this. Turns out it was coming from a trauma that I had repressed really, really deeply. And because I was so afraid of this, I have 7 brothers, right? So I would never, but everyone's got blue eyes. And as a result, I would never go out with any guy that had blue eyes because it was just too close. I was afraid that if I did that, I would be expressing my incestuous kink. It would be proof that I was dirty. And the whole thing was rooted in shame. So kinks, when they're healthy, are meant to be rooted in pleasure. It doesn't matter what gets you pleasure. It's safe for you to pursue pleasure and desire in your life. And when a kink is healthy, it tickles both sides or all 3 sides or all 10 sides of whatever the fetish is. Everybody is happy and consensual to be there. The sub loves the dom loves the sub. Without the dom, there could be no sub. Without the sub, there could be no dom. So each of their unique roles is helping the other's kink to be expressed. But when it's an unhealthy kink, someone or something has to be forced into doing it. And when you have a kink that involves someone or something else being forced into doing it, it's usually your body trying to make something right mentally that was really painful for you in the past. For example, with me, incest. Now, when these urges, so everybody's erotic urges are given to them, it comes with the software. And these urges are archetypal, which means that you could read about them in mythology. There's Oedipal kinks, there's incestuous kinks, there's narcissistic kinks, you name it, they're out there. Even when it comes to pedophilia, these kinks have always been there. And as a result, they will cycle through your head. And if it's not your kink, the thought will come up, oh, you could have a wank to this, or you could do this, and it'll be not my thing. And you just pass it. It's not oh, that's not my thing, that's so bad. You're just no thanks. You swipe left on that and you don't think about it again. But if you have trauma, if you have a history of this happening to you, then when that kink comes up, you'll resist it really heavy. You'll say, no, not allowed. And whatever you resist persists. So the more you resist it, the more it continues, and the more you really start to identify with it, and you start to hate yourself for having these urges, because you don't know that everyone in the world gets these urges. It's just that when you're not resisting it, it's just it's no big deal. You just, okay, on to the next one. And when it's a kink that you're really, really into, it'll be ding, 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 this is your thing. Can't help but be super turned on by that. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's not hurting you, as long as it's not hurting anyone else. And there is a very big world out there of people that are interested and willing and dying to help you meet your kink. They're the scarcity of the second chakra and the shame of the second chakra. It says that I have this erotic urge, and because there's nobody out there that's going to understand, I'm just never going to have pleasure. It's the same kind of scarcity mindset that when one person dumps you, you're there's billions of people in the world, but this one person doesn't love me, therefore I'm never going to be happy. And it's just not the way that the world works. So I worked with somebody whose dad had raped her when she was young, and not as a result, but later on in life, she was really attracted to older men, and all of her friends were this is unhealed trauma, you need to work that stuff. But what if she just had a daddy kink? And yeah, this is not the incarnation that she was chosen into, the incarnation that she chose to be in here, signed off on, was yeah, you probably have a destiny in sacred sexuality, and exactly what traumatized you is your super kink in life. For me, what really traumatized me was being in a very horrible incest situation that was not consensual, and it was traumatic, and it was painful, and it was violent. But the person who's my soulmate literally looks like he could be my brother. And as long as I had that rule and I was resisting it, like, no, I'm not allowed to be attracted to my brother. I'm not allowed to be attracted to my brother. I'm not allowed to think that my brother's hot. I'm not allowed, like, I would never have been able to allow my soulmate, like my sacred soulmate, into my life. So here are some questions to help you get a little bit more perspective on if your shame is rooted in trauma or it's rooted in pleasure. So the first question you can ask yourself is, are you expressing this kink right now? So this kink, now that I've, like, because the incest kink passed for me the second I realized that the only reason I was so afraid of being incest was because I was in a situation where my brother molested me, and then when we were caught, he blamed it on me. And so I just, as a 4-year-old, just like absorbed that and was like, oh my God, I'm dirty. And it was never me. I didn't solicit it. I didn't want it. And just because he did that to me doesn't make me incest. But when you're a child and something's not explained to you, you have to explain it to yourself. Now, after that situation, instead of being loved or comforted by my parents or someone listening to my side of the story, I was in a doomsday sex cult. My parents weren't there. I was promptly taken to the bathroom and severely disciplined for lying, for instigating the situation. And I was just frozen. I couldn't believe that that had actually happened to me. I sat there in the bathroom trying to wash the blood out of my panties, just feeling like I was never going to get clean in my life, And that feeling stayed with me. Every time I found myself attracted to someone with blue eyes, I'd just be escorted back to that memory of washing blood, trying furiously to wash the blood and the poop out of my panties after, fresh spanking on my butt, being called a liar by the person that abused me, being framed, all of this stuff compressed in one memory that every time I was attracted to someone with blue eyes, it would just come up. So, and it turns out that I was destined to be with somebody who looked exactly like my brother. So I was given that situation, because I'm a healer, so that I could heal from it, so that I could be teaching you guys about sacred sexuality right now. So are you expressing this kink now? The kink that I'm expressing with Patrick is definitely the he-she thing. I'm into the ladies. He's into the masculine, and because I have such masculine energy and he has such feminine energy, we get to get our kinky on here. And then the second that it's not taboo anymore, we'll move on to something else, because that's how the erotic urges work. Like, it's about the new, it's about desire. And all of this we'll go deeper into in my workshop, Erotic Wealth, but you cannot do sex magic or even start messing around with it at all until you have a clear channel, because you're literally going to bring the energy up into a place where it's blocked, and it's going to seriously start manifesting more of those situations that you don't want, as opposed to the situations that you do want. And the reason why this happens is so that you can heal from it. But for example, if you have like a totally blocked second chakra that's just filled with shame and unhealed trauma, and you start trying to do sex magic on it, you're going to attract more abusive situations to you. You're going to attract rapists to you, and it sucks. I'm telling you this from personal experience. So please be careful, and please understand that, like, a lot of the sex magic manuals that are out there are purposely written wrong. The only ones that you can get your hands on are the black magic ones, and just be really careful with black magic, because it's super, super addictive. It's not bad. It's just like super, super addictive because it works really well in the world of control. But I'm telling you, like, when you have created a world that you controlled every bit of, it's fucking hell. It's hell, because surrender is like the real get down there, and you'll never be able to surrender if you're addicted to black magic. So literally go work with any black magic priestess that you want. You will see these are some volatile ladies. Azalea Banks is a great example of somebody that's used black magic in a really, in a way that's gotten her really far, but like as a result, she can never really crack through to the people that she's always talking shit on. She doesn't understand why. And it's like, for every spell that you cast, a spell is cast back on you, and you become really paranoid that people are trying to control you, all of that. So definitely be careful with the black magic. I can talk about that in another video. But are you expressing the kink now? Now, the kink that you have, is it hurting anybody else? Because the universe is never going to give you a kink that requires someone else to be in pain for you to meet, because the guilt and the shame of it would just cause you to never get ahead. It's not natural to life. Now, if you do have a kink that caused somebody else pain, were you ever caused pain in the same way? Because if you are, you need to heal it. And my workshop, it's not because you won't have a happy sex life if you don't. It's like you'll literally never have a happy anything if you don't. Like you'll literally never get more than just enough if you don't find a way to safely pass this kink through you. And there are whole like cabals of people that continue to use this type of, it's blood magic. It's literally blood magic, sacrificing somebody else for your own personal pleasure. It doesn't work for very long. And as it stops working, the sacrifices have to become greater and greater and greater. You're the kind of person that ultimately just can't live with yourself. It's not a happy existence whatsoever. Every true magic, every true kink should involve in you sacrificing something of your own so that you can get the reward. So in a sense, let's say that you think that you have a kink that would involve somebody else getting hurt, but then you recognize it's actually reminding me of something that was either lost, stolen, or taken away or given away by me when I was very young. And I think that expressing the kink in this way would help me to get it back. It never will. It never will. You have to alchemize that memory and turn it into something that can be useful for you so that you can start a new pattern. And this is what we do in Wheels Reinvented. Now, if it's a kink that doesn't hurt anybody, why are you not allowed to express it? And this is where you get into the world of like what your parents and what religion and stuff told you was right or wrong. Now, there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. There's simply right for you or wrong for you. But as a universal law, something that hurts somebody else to get you ahead is a very, very finite solution. A very, very finite solution, because everything you dish out, you get back. And that's just the golden rule of the universe, that it reflects you. So if you had something traumatic happen to you, but now you have a kink around it and it's really enjoyable for you, express it. Because that's like kicking shame in the ass while singing. Being able to play this fantasy up until it's past and you can move on to the next one. Like, this is why you can only do true sex magic with your divine partner, and until then you can do it with yourself. But your divine partner will be willing to express all of these different fantasies and all of these different kinks with you, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. But whatever you resist, you'll be a lot more likely to resist something if it's taboo to you, because either it happened to you when you were young and it is rooted in trauma, or it wasn't allowed by your parents, or it wasn't allowed by society, or it's not allowed by your personal rule based on judgments you've made about other people in your life. But when it comes to kinks, it's really not up to you. So when a kink comes up, you can jerk off to whatever you want. Don't let the porn agenda tell you that everything you've jerked off to in your life you should be identified with. Just because you jerked off to this doesn't make you a pedophile, doesn't make you a lesbian, doesn't make you any of these things. If you really want to know, like, if you're attracted to something or not, have a wank tit. Have a wank tit, but not on porn. In your own imagination. In your own imagination. Because with porn, you'll come to anything simply just because it's taboo. And anything that's not allowed will, like, make you hard. Or make your nipples hard, or get you wet, or whatever. But in your own fantasy, in your own imagination. And honestly, if you create the greatest Pornhub in your own mind, you will be much further on your way to doing sex magic than you think. But be careful what you ejaculate too, that's for sure. All right, so that's the end of this video. If you have any questions about this, please put it in the comments here. I'm dying to hear from you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.